As I begin, I thank all the 77 honorable members who have really taken a keen interest on the budget and its contents and have spoken very much in detail and at a time post-pandemic, after the contraction of the economy, the government, consulting a lot of experts, has come up with a budget which has a blend of stimulus-related efforts, and also the Honorable Prime Minister has not lost the opportunity of the pandemic to continue with the reforms. So in that way, this budget, coming as it does post the pandemic, has actually set the pace for India to become Atmanirbhar. So for India to become Atmanirbhar, even after the pandemic, and even as the pandemic is probably reviving in some countries, the second wave is coming in some countries, because we had an approach which was very spearheaded from the front by the Prime Minister himself. We've had a kind of retraction in the pandemic. The death rates are the lowest in the world. Active cases have come down. In a way, I can state with a bit of hesitation, because the pandemic is unpredictable, we have actually managed to bend the curve. And as a result, the revival of the economy looks a lot more sustainable, and this budget therefore gives the necessary impetus. Now, very many members have spoken on the contents of the budget, and therefore the debate was lots more meaningful, and some of the points raised by the members I will certainly give answers to, and also reflect on some other thoughts which have come from various different members. But before I get into the specific issues raised, and before I get to replying on the specific issues, I think what I want to highlight is, as I said at the beginning, stimulus plus reforms. An opportunity has been taken out of the pandemic situation. A challenging situation of the pandemic did not deter the government, did not deter us from taking up reforms which are going to be necessary for sustaining a long-term growth for this country. And as a result, very many steps were taken out and announced even during the Atmanirbhar package announcements, and in this budget we have kept the pace up and announced measures which are for the reforms. And reforms, not just one-off, reforms not just every now and then, but reforms riveted in a policy. Riveted in a policy which is therefore going to give a neat background, a layout spread before the Parliament for people to know that this is not a subjective, knee-jerk reform because you're every now and then questioned on it, but a reform which is going to lay a path for India to be one of the top economies of the world in the coming decade and further. So that kind of an approach, which is a courageous approach of a government which believes that the people of India have mandated it to do such an exercise. I was very encouraged to see several of our MPs, many of them very young, probably the first-time entrants, speaking with such fervor about the kind of reforms which the Prime Minister is spearheading, and that gives hope for this economy and for democracy, because India's 2/3 of our population is the youth of this country who hold the hope for this future. And because the hope is what we have to service, attend and facilitate, this budget is drafted the way in which it is drafted. And And therefore the policy, particularly the disinvestment in the PSE policy, does not allow for any kind of elementary or rudimentary approach to it. It clearly states, after all, since 1991, the opening of the economy and the justifiable claims that many of us, irrespective of the government, have made, that poverty reduction in real terms is happening since the time public enterprises and also the private enterprises have all given an opportunity for India to revive its economy from the notorious license quota Raj. And that is why I reiterate this fact, that this budget draws on the experience of the Honorable Prime Minister when he was the Chief Minister. In the ground in Gujarat, seen so many revival happening at a time when the license quota Raj was going away post 1991. And then based on that experience and commitment to reform, which is sustaining commitment to reform, which is blended into this budget, and therefore it is based on the policy rather than, Honorable Speaker, sir, I draw your attention to the fact that it is important in the history, economic history of India, it is important to trace this route. Since 1948, when we, with great adoration, adopted socialistic policies, great adoration, nationalized institutions, and with great adoration had a kind of a blend of Indian hybrid socialism plus a certain kind of license quota Raj, all of which started denigrating Indian businesses, all of which made businesses absolutely difficult to perform, constricted our enterprises, particularly the small and medium ones. Too many questions, too many licenses, too many regulations ended stifling these businesses. And therefore, if you look at the trajectory of India's economic history post-independence, 1948, I'm not going to elaborate why I have picked off these years. You will know it. Honorable members know it. 1948, 1955, 1969, and it peaked in 1975. All of which were strongly socialist, not truly the kind of socialism which the Western nations or even Russia spoke about, but a hybrid kind of a socialism, ending the Indian entrepreneurs' capacity to take this economy along. And it is that which the same party which between 48 and 75 happily took upon itself, 1991. I concede it was under duress. Shifts from the socialism to complete opening up of the economy, and also till today, rightly take the credit, I have no problem, and till today would like to harp on, 1991, it is we who opened up the economy, it is we who have given you a free market approach, and it is we who are reformist. The very same party, sir, from 48 which constricted the Indian economy, in 91 says, no, we've opened up, we've given reform, and repeatedly asks Prime Minister, where is your reform credential? What have you done in reform? Repeatedly asks, and then says, you have not got that commitment, you don't know what is economics, you don't know how to manage economy, and therefore you are not the people to do reform, it's us who can do it. And with no apologies, socialism to communism to complete license quota Raj, and then of course opening up of the Indian economy, and therefore we are everything. We are socialist at one point in time, we are communist another point in time, license quota, crony capitalism another time, and finally even opening up the Indian economy, it is us. No sir, I like to put it now before this House, that since Jan Sangh respecting Indian entrepreneurial skills, Indian managerial skills, Indian trade skills, Indian business skills, Indian youth. Jansang onwards, BJP has consistently believed in India. We didn't borrow something from somewhere and give a hybrid. We didn't ever borrow. We didn't, at one point in time, because we are close to Russia, we will do one thing which is very command-controlled regime, the centralized planning regime. And then suddenly we think, oh my God, even China is moving in that route of, supporting capitalism. Therefore, we'll also have to do it. No, sir. Our belief in India, our belief in Indian businesses, and our belief in Indian economic strength has been consistent from Jansang to BJP to now BJP. Also going in a steady line of believe in Indian enterprises, give them the maximum freedom, give them the respect that they so deserve. And then, oh sorry, I thought finance minister talk on economy and economics.
प्लीज बैठ के मत बोलिए.
Finance ministers talk on economy, sir. Policies which govern economy also is of matter, in fact, of primary matter for the finance ministers. So, absolutely relevant because it's a precursor to BJP and ideologically consistent with us. Oh, did you have a doubt? Thank you. So therefore, respecting wealth creators, respecting taxpayers, and respecting honest citizens is something which we consistently follow, and that is why in responding to the President's address, Prime Minister, when he spoke about small farmers, he spoke about respecting wealth creators, and unless wealth creators create wealth, there's nothing which is going to be with the government to distribute. Distribute to the poor, distribute to the migrant laborers. Unless wealth creators give the taxes and generate that kind of a lubrication in the economy, you're not going to have any money to distribute, sir. And therefore, let's understand, consistently talking and also facilitating economy is a primary responsibility of any responsible government. And that's what we are doing now. So specific questions which were raised by several members on health, for instance, on defense, for instance, I'll very quickly respond without taking specific honorable members' name, but once I cover the topic, I'm sure it addresses many of the members. So on agriculture, for instance, there was this question, why did you reduce the budget from by about 10,000 crores? Are you not going to take care of Kisan? So that is absolutely misread. The data given in the budget on that account has been misread, and I'll tell you why. Because benefits worth 1.15 lakh crores have been transferred to the bank accounts of 10.75 crore farmers since the inception of this particular scheme of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Yojana. In 2019 and 20, and also in the BE of 2020-2021, both I am comparing BE to BE. 1920 BE to 2021 BE, the allocation of 75,000 crores was made under the scheme. Of course, in the RE of 2020-21, the allocation has been rationalized. When I say rationalized, you may understand it as reduction, but I'll tell you why reduction. I'll tell you why reduction. Nothing to heckle, sir. I'll tell you why reduction. 65,000 it became because, and one of the main reason for that is, allocation to PM Kisan scheme is approximately 69 lakh farmers estimated. The allocation has been because our estimate was that 69 lakh estimated farmers from West Bengal have not received as per our allocation because the list hadn't come to us, and when we included 69 lakh farmers into the account and gave 75,000 crores, but it couldn't be utilized, therefore in RE it came down to 65 lakh farmers for whom we made the provision in the BE, for whom the money was waiting. Because the list of 65 lakhs did not come to us, we were not able to pay, and to that extent the amount had to be said. We have not utilized it. That is not cutting down on the allocation. It is clearly saying a state for which we made the provision did not use it. And therefore the reduction, sir, we are not hiding why the reduction, but it is important to highlight that a state shows that its farmers should not be given the money which the Prime Minister is giving for all the country. So shedding crocodile tears for farmers doesn't help. The money is lying there. Next, sir, there were questions about health. Have you actually reduced the payment to health? You're bringing in water and sanitation, you're bringing in nutrition, and therefore really you have not paid health. That's not true. But bringing in water and sanitation are all not just a figment of our imagination. Even the WHO has said water and sanitation contribute to health. And if there is no management of sanitation efforts, and bringing in toilets and other things are also in that scheme of things. And if you don't have good drinking water, Nal Se Jal is going for that, you are going to have health-related problems. That is why even in the budget speech I very clearly said, we are taking a holistic approach to health. It is preventive, it's also addressing preventive health, it is addressing curative health, it's also addressing well-being. Otherwise you're not going to get a holistic health-related governance. WHO mentions, and I quote, safe drinking water, sanitation and hygiene are crucial to human health and well-being. Safe and sufficient, the acronym is WASH. Safe drinking water and sanitation and hygiene are crucial to health, human health and well-being. Safe and sufficient WASH plays a key role in preventing numerous neglected tropical diseases. Diarrheal deaths as a result of inadequate WASH were reduced by half during the Millennium Development Goal period of 1990 to 2015, with a significant progress on water and sanitation provision playing a key role. And therefore, a globally recognized approach to good health is to take care of water and sanitation, and therefore we have not done something, experimenting with something. It is a comprehensive, logical approach that we've taken. Now, having said this, I will firmly establish that in spite of bringing water and sanitation and portion, the allocations to the core health has not come down. On the contrary, it's gone up. I'll tell you how. Health and family welfare. Health and family welfare in the BE of 2020-21, the year that we are nearing finish, is 65,012. In this coming year for which the budget has been presented, 21-22, in the BE, 71,269 has been allocated and marks 9.67% growth. There is no reduction there. Ministry of Ayush, 2020-21, the year that we are finishing now, had 2,122 crores, which has gone up to 2,970, which is a 40% increase. Health research, Dr. Harshavardhan is here next to me. Health research has been provided 2,100 crores in this year, which is coming to a close, whereas it is now provisioned in the BE for the coming year 2,663 crores, which marks 26.8% growth. So on three core headings which are normally referred to as health, we have only increased Therefore, there is no shortage in the allocation. On the contrary, there is an increase in allocation. I will speak about it. Then there's this question about defense getting no mention in the speech, defense getting no allocation. Why are we hiding details about defense? No, not at all.
No mention.
Defense as a word, no mention, is absolutely right. But the budget documents, no, Professor, you're a professor. I would expect you to go into the details. The budget document. Mohammadji, I think Honorable Member Mahua Moitra has a lot to say. Even during the debate she has said it. She's welcome to say it, sir, with your permission. But I think it will be good if you can hear me out first. Sir, defense expenditure. For just a matter of interest, I'd like to take up the amount during, let us say, 13-14. 1,16,931 crores. That is 13-14, the last year of UPA. And defense expenditure being so huge, unless we tear it down into 3 compartments, you're not going to get a true picture. And it is not a convenient compartment, it is a recognized compartment, 3 of them. One which is under revenue, the other which is capital, and the third which goes to pensions. Manya Rajnath ji is here. I'll read out the figures to say, what is the allocation now, taking care of all the 3 requirements, and compare it with 2013-14. Under revenue, 1,16,931 crore, 13-14. Under capital, 86,741 under UPA 13-14, and under pensions, 44,500. What is it now? The year that is ending, 2,09,319 under revenue. Under capital, 1,13,734 as opposed to 86,000 in 13-14. And what is it for the pensions? 1,33,825 as opposed to 44,500. One thing I readily point out, much before enthusiastic honorable members from the opposition would get up and say, oh, but last year to this year it's come down. Yes, it has come down on the count of pension. Because last year we had given, the year that is ending, the growth was about 19.4% at the amount till now is 1,33,825, whereas now it is 1,15,850, so a reduction of 13.4% in pensions, and just that head has a reduction. And why has it happened so? Last year, after the introduction, a couple of years ago, after the introduction of OROP, there were a lot of pending, questioned issues of query-raised issues, all of which were accumulating as arrears. One time we cleared it last year, which therefore accounted for a higher allocation. This year, now that it is all rationalized and stabilized, naturally that one-time payment which was made will not be repeated. And that is clearly laid out, and we are not even hiding it. We have no pretension to say, oh no, it has come down. We are not waffling on that. This is the fact. Sorry? I mentioned that. 2013-14, yeah, I'll tell you, last year to this year, last year it was 1,13,734 capital. This year it is 1,35,061, marking 18.8% increase between last year and this year on capital. Sir, the question of the question of employment-related matters, Manrega, which is normally quoted, saying, oh, you have not been sincere about Manrega. 2013-14, 1,16,931 crores, 13-14. Under capital, 86,741 under revenue, 1,13,825 as opposed to 44,500. One thing I readily point out, much before enthusiastic honorable members from the opposition would get up and say, oh, but last year to this year it's come down. Yes, it has come down on the count of pensions. Because last year we had given, the year that is ending, the growth was about 19.4% at the amount till now is 1,15,850, so a reduction of 13.4% in pensions, and just that head has a reduction. And why has it happened so? Last year, after the introduction, a couple of years ago, after the introduction of OROP, there were a lot of pending, questioned issues of query-raised issues, all of which were accumulating as arrears. One time we cleared it last year, which I'll certainly take this opportunity to read out some numbers, sir, if you please allow me that kind of a time. We are often said, oh, you opposed Manrega, we were the ones who brought it in, we have great claims to Manrega. Yes, you may have given birth to... No questions, ma'am. You have given birth to Manrega, you can take the credit for it. But equally, take the credit for having mismanaged Manrega. Take the credit for CAG paragraphs on Manrega. Take the credit for having given Manrega to ghost workers. Take the credit for Manrega going to non-existing workers. Take the credit for that also. So, Congress party, sir, I'm sorry to take the name of a party on a debate during budget, gives birth to all these very good schemes, no doubt, very good schemes, but lacks the will to use them properly, lacks the will to use them openly and transparently. Moment that is given birth, misuses them to favor cronies. हम दो हमारे दो इसके लिए काम आता है. Sir, Manrega, I'm reading the figures. Suresh ji, I'm reading the figures. Honorable Member Kodikunil Suresh, please hear the numbers. Please hear the numbers. Sir, in 2009-10, sir, in 2009-10, no, don't worry. Then don't ask us the questions on Manrega, ask the state government. You ask us the questions. When I'm giving you replies, of course I'll mention Congress because you take the credit for it. Anyway, sir, I don't want to lose my time to give a proper answer. Sir, there are two tendencies, sir. Again, I'll take the name of the Congress party. There are two tendencies. One, they give birth to such schemes and then use it for their cronies. And each time, you can see the hypocrisy in the way the figures come out. Manrega, sir, the tendency I'll use to explain through Manrega. What is the tendency? We'll have a scheme. We'll announce huge BEs for it. You know, budgetary time estimated allocation, big amounts. But actually, not utilized. Each year it will end up with the actuals being far lesser than the original allotted amount, which means either they don't care for it or they give their cronies and forget the actual workers. यही होता है, वो BE से RE का डेटा में दे देती हूँ जिससे आपको पता लगेगा कि मनरेगा के ऊपर आपके प्यार एक्चुअली क्या नतीजा निकालती है on the ground. That PIAR doesn't translate it into activity. 2009-10, sir, 39,100. Actually, what was utilized? 33,000 only. 6,000 Bhagwan Jane, kyun they put it. Then, 40,100 comes to being 35,000 only. 11-12, 40,000. Only 29,000 is used. The rest are unutilized. Sir, 33,000. Only 30,000 is utilized. 2013-14, 33,000. Only 32 is utilized. 14-15, the last year, after us coming, 34,000 was only 32,000 used. But later on, from 15-16, please see the utilization levels. 34,699, 37 was utilized. 16-17, 38,500, 48,214 was utilized. 17-18, 48,000, 55,000 was utilized. 18-19, 55,000 allocated BE, 61,815 was utilized. 2019-20, 60,000 was allocated, 71,686 was, which means for a demand-based program, we also keep giving. 2008-9, sir, 2008-9, sir, was a distressed year because of global financial crisis. Even then your utilization was less, which means you'll talk about crisis when it comes to others, but no, not for yourself. 2021, sir, the year of the pandemic. 61,500 because budget was presented in February, much before the corona crisis. But although we gave only 61,500 in the budget, as the year went, corona crisis, pandemic, lockdown, and then after the lockdown, migrant workers going back to their villages, we have increased that to 1,11,500 because that support has to be given in the villages. End of the year, it may well be that it will be utilized only to the extent of 90,000 crores, but still far higher than ever utilized under the Manrega. And therefore this year, the current year's budget provision, the forthcoming year, we have given 73,000 crores and are fully willing that through the supplementary demand for grants, which happens at least 2 times, if not 3 times, we are going to give more and more if necessary, so that migrant workers who have not returned to their jobs in the cities or anywhere else, who choose to remain there, can still be continued giving support. Sir,
No.
Sir, there's a lot of question on you have not given adequate support to the MSMEs, which is a bit of a surprise for me. I think even during the lockdown, the announcements which were made clearly saying we are addressing the distress which the MSMEs will face in 2 different ways. One, by suspending some of the clauses of the IBC, we made sure no one from the MSME will be pulled to the courts or for resolution or for failure to pay their due debts and so on, and therefore that was one way. That ensured nobody was going to be drawn to the courts or nobody is going to be declared insolvent. Similarly, we also kept extending dates of due payments or any kind of compliance that they have to do. So we extended the deadline till 31st March of this year on many scores, so that they are not burdened with having to pay taxes, having to file their returns, or having even to plain compliance papers to be filed. So we've given them relief on the compliance side of things. Equally, we have given relief from the point of view of giving some money so that they can have working capital, additional working capital, extended term loans and so on, without asking for any new additional security. And this, if I only say for a minute, the approach that we took will tell you how clearly the intent was to help everybody. Banks were instructed to send SMSs, to call on the phone, to send emails, to go to the house or the office of the MSME if they are available post the lockdown was lifted, but before that through a SMS saying we are willing to give you, please come and take without additional security. And the instruction given to the banks was, you will not deny unless the person himself or the company himself says, I don't want it. So it was given to everybody. The choice to say no was with the borrower and not with the bank. So not one company or not one MSME, even if it's a one single person MSME nano unit, was ignored. And also let me underline the fact that when we kept saying MSME, we did not exclude others who did not strictly come under the category of MSME. Anyone who had an account in the bank could go and say, give me loan under this emergency credit guarantee liquidity support scheme. And they were included. So in between, when there were questions about, oh no, but tourism sector, oh no, but some other sector, you didn't call, we are not called MSME, but will you not give us? We kept issuing a lot of clarification, calling and saying, no, we may have used the word MSME, but this is available for anyone who's got a bank account. That way, a lot of companies who did not have that money, because during the lockdown they couldn't operate, but when they opened, they had to buy raw material, they had to pay workers, they had to pay electricity bills. For all that, working capital was increased, given without a question. And here I would like, because honorable members also observe the functioning of public sector banks, and I will say that equally with respect, having amalgamated a lot of these banks, in spite of the amalgamation related work still going on, banks very clearly exposed their staff, and I'm grateful even during the lockdown for Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. They went and gave through their bank mitras all the cash credit which were made during the initial months. Similarly, in the emergency credit guarantee, they extended it to all the companies which wanted the help. So emergency credit guarantee was one of the things which was extended to MSME. Also, we had a subordinate debt scheme through which companies which were already in distress, not just viable companies getting emergency credit guarantee, companies which were already in distress were given under the subordinate debt a kind of assistance wherein the individual promoter could borrow. He put it into the company as his equity and thereby lift the company's stature, get more assistance from the bank and run the business. So, when we extended these schemes, sir, they were not mindlessly some scheme being produced. Lot of mind application happened. At the level of the Prime Minister, a lot of inputs were coming. Leaders of businesses were meeting him, even during the lockdown through webinars. Continuously inputs were gathered and from the PMO were sent to us. We worked on it and every scheme was tailor-made for a situation such as the pandemic. And I'm proud to say the Government of India, every department spent hours on end planning to give it for the people who are affected in the pandemic. And therefore, the approach that Government of India has taken to address the pandemic situation may be completely different, but has served India better than the way which some of us were being advised. Oh, copy this. You have the temerity to call us crony capitalists. You invited one of them, who you repeatedly call, and then say, please develop our port, because there is no Damad living in Kerala. Damad lives here. Sir, under the PM Awas Yojana, please have the patience to hear who are our cronies. Our cronies are the common janta of this country. PM Awas Yojana, more than 1.67 crores have been completed. Do cronies have these Awas Yojana houses? They are common people who get the Awas Yojana houses. How many houses were electrified under the Saubhagya scheme? Since October 2017, 2.67 crore houses have been electrified. They are not crony capitalist houses. Household toilets were constructed, nearly 11 crore. Now it is more than that. Household toilets for crony capitalists? Do they need it? And who needs it gets it. Sir, Honorable Speaker, sir, the leader of the opposition still has some courage to get up and speak on PM CARES. I thought MOS Finance during last one session pointedly told them what is PM CARES, who audits them, where does that money go, as opposed to the way in which the PM National Relief Fund was giving money for family trusts. That has been already explained. Maybe I'll send you the video clip which is going on in social media. So, Adirji, you will learn a lot of things from it. You were not present? I thought that's the session in which you called them Himachal ke somebody, Chokra. That's the session, I'll remind you. That's the session in which you called my MOS, who is an honorable member of this House 5 times now. Himachal ke Chokra, and he got up to tell you what actually was the PM National Relief Fund. So that debate is over and done with, dusted. You can go remind yourself through the social media. Sir, length of the road. Don't worry, I'll answer you. I'll send you the clip. Have a look at it and then come back. PM Gram Sadak Yojana, sir. More than 2,11,000 kilometers of road have been built since 1415, and Gram Sadak Yojanas don't go to the private gated communities of damads and crony capitalists. So whose lifeline are these? हम नहीं बोल रहे भाई. Sir, let me. Professor is very. Professor is a very alert member of the House. When speakers speak, he catches every word and says, hey, but this one, hey, but that one. But you notice one thing, sir? Actually, the crony capitalism allegation डालने वाले कांग्रेस से कोई बात करता है, Professor never gets up. He shivers, mustn't talk in front of Congress. All the courage is only on us. All the courage is only on us. Madam, nobody talks rubbish, madam. Don't you say that. Sir, total, insulting. Sir, number of farmers registered under E-NAM. Sir, number of farmers registered on E-NAM, 1,69,000. Number of digital transactions happening in the UPI. Absolutely, continuously calling the Prime Minister all abuses, very unfortunate. Sir, number of farmers registered under PM Fasal Bima Yojana, 9 crores of people. From farmers you take away their land for cheap, but we don't do that. We send 6,000 rupees to their account, direct benefit transfers. 9 crore farmers are benefited. There are no damads. Loans sanctioned under Mudra Yojana, sir. 27 crore Mudra Yojana goes to people who are really running small businesses. So MSME or small businesses have all been absolutely taken care of by this government. So much before really anyone comes up with questions or false allegations. Of late, false narratives are the ones which are being propagated, rather than coming to the House and talking in details about what is being offered in budget or any other program. So there are specific questions, 2-3 of them. After that, I'll come to the conclusion. But more important is, sir, Member Supriya Sule ji had asked this question, and I partly sort of got up to reply her on what is that 41-42% allocation in the Finance Commission. I think roughly that has been explained as to what is 42, why it has come down to 41. It's not actually come down, it is the due appropriate share for states. So, but the question she had then asked, and which I chose to answer during the reply, was what happens to this modernization fund for defense and internal security. So that is a proposition which is not even before me. Whilst the Finance Commission's comment on a non-lapsable fund for defense is something in principle we have agreed, but the modalities and other things will have to be worked out, talking with the defense minister and the entire defense team. So that will be, this particular thing has been mentioned in the action taken report submitted to the Parliament. The modalities will be worked out and we'll see it in the due course. So then, I think it was Sri N.K. Premachandran who questioned a discrepancy, which he saw as a discrepancy in the numbers in the budget speech about Atmanirbhar package estimated at 27.1 lakh crore vis-a-vis 29.86 lakh crores announced by the government. There is no discrepancy, sir. I want to let the honorable member know about it. Within 48 hours of declaring the lockdown, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana was announced with an estimated value of 2.7 lakh crores, and that was announced for free food grains, for free cooking gas, for direct cash transfer to the farmers, for the women, for elderly citizens and so on. This I had mentioned in para 4 of my speech, no doubt. But later, the government announced 3 Atmanirbhar packages with a total financial impact of about 27.1 lakh crore, including the financial impact of measures taken by the RBI. The combined financial impact of Garib Kalyan and Atmanirbhar package is 29.87 crores, and therefore there is no discrepancy. I want to let no member. And also, Member Premachandran again asked, how do you see that this budget would increase demand in the country? That was a question which he legitimately asked, sir. And I would like to point out that the course that we have taken for giving stimulus to the economy through spending on developmental activities, through spending on infrastructure, improving the capex of the government, has resulted in the increase in capital outlay from 4.12 lakh crore in the current year, which is nearing end, to 5.54 lakh crores in the new BE 21-22, which is a substantial increase. And when money is spent on capital expenditure, all of us would agree, the multiplier effect will immediately create jobs, and that creation of jobs will also have an impact on core industry demands, because you will need more cement, you will need more steel, and that demand will also generate more and more jobs. So it will have both direct and indirect impact on the economy immediately, and also be sustained in the medium and long term. Sir, and also there were questions that again Member Premachandran asked, that how can we justify that in 2019-20 there was no COVID? Of course there was no COVID. The budget estimate of fiscal deficit was 3.3% of the GDP, whereas in the revised estimate for that very year, it has been shown as 4.6%. That's a question which Honorable Member Premachandran has raised, and I would definitely like to answer that, because it has, I'm sure, a matter of interest for a lot of members. In August 2020, sir, the government has placed a statement of deviation on the fiscal deficit as per the provisions of Section 7, 3B of the FRBM Act in the Parliament. This statement, and I draw your attention, Honourable Member, to this statement outlines the reason for deviation of 0.8% from the revised target of fiscal deficit of 3.8% of GDP for the year 1920. I was here that day to hear the former president of the opposition party stand up and say, I will only speak on the farmers' issue and then I'll go quiet. Honorable Speaker, sir, because there was a lot of demand and you gently reminded, saying there is this budget discussion now and that we should discuss the budget. Huh? Yes, I concede that, no worry. What am I doing? Sir, I'd like to ask you, sir, what am I doing? I am talking on the budget. I am talking on the budget. I am replying to the members who stood up and spoke on the budget debate. For each one, they're on their issue. On each one, on their issue. Each member stood up and spoke the issues which they thought were... Please listen. Please listen. Please listen. Don't unnecessarily read my mind in advance. Please listen. Sir, Honorable Speaker, sir, the attempt here is to reply to each member for the various issues that they have raised. And I shall reply for the issues raised. Yes. And even justifying now, I agree. Oh, farm issues definitely are relevant for the budget. And even the honorable member who's not present here, and I'm not taking his name, but I also want to address the issues raised by him that day. Farm issues will have to be spoken because they are also part of the budgetary discussion. And yes, don't worry, I'm answering. Please hear now. Please hear. Sir, kindly sir, you don't want me to answer issues raised by your honorable leader? I'm answering. I'm answering. Sir, oh yes, don't worry, I'm answering that. You don't mind? You don't mind? Sir, if you have heard Honorable Member Suresh, who says I should take the name, and if you give me the permission, in the absence of that member, I'll take his name. All right, sir? Now therefore, and the member had said, farm bills are also part of the budget, and I'm laying the foundation, and therefore I'm speaking about it, and therefore I'll please respond, sir. I'm sure you will help me. When he stood up, since Kodikunil Suresh ji has given me permission, and you, I suppose, wouldn't mind me, Sri Rahul Gandhi, when he stood up and to speak, he Sir, for the foundation laid on the budget.
नहीं, एक मिनट मंत्री जी, माननीय सदस्य, माननीय मंत्री जी किसी का नाम ले दिए तो सदन का सदस्य तो नाम ले सकती है, उसमें क्या दिक्कत है? वो सदन का सदस्य नाम ले सकती है। उपस्थित नॉन उपस्थित का सवाल नहीं, माननीय सदस्य का नाम ले सकते हैं।
सर,
सभी सदस्यों का नाम ले रही है ना, जिन बजट पर चर्चा करी है। बोलिए
सर। When the foundation was being laid for the budget speech, which never happened, on the matters raised during that laying of the foundation, there are some things which I want to ask. And I'll also say my expectation, when he stood up to lay the foundation, my expectations were that he will explain as to why the Congress party has taken a U-turn in its position. 2019 election manifesto, they said that very similar things which we have done in the Farm Act. So sir, please sir, allow me to give a response. So this kind of a disruption is unwarranted.
Please, please.
Have I said anything unparliamentary, sir, for this disruption? Sir, we expected that he would stand up. This is number one. I have 10 such things to say. 10 विषय के ऊपर मैं मेरा एक्सपेक्टेशन आपके सामने रखना चाह रही हूं सर, जिसको कभी ना कभी कांग्रेस पार्टी की तरफ से जवाब देना ही पड़ेगा। सर, खड़े होकर के जब फाउंडेशन ले कर रहे थे बजट स्पीच का, जो बजट स्पीच नहीं हुआ उसका फाउंडेशन ले करते हुए फर्स्ट इशू मेरा एक्सपेक्टेशन था, हाँ बजट में चर्चा करने से पहले फार्म लॉस के ऊपर ये बात बोलेंगे, ये स्पष्टीकरण देंगे कि क्यों कांग्रेस पार्टी की पोजीशन यू टर्न लिया। पहले तो इसका समर्थन देते थे, अभी क्यों बदला, वो पहला है। सेकंड, फार्मर्स के इतना ध्यान देने वाले कांग्रेस फार्म लोन वेवर के बारे में बहुत सारे स्टेट्स में इलेक्शन जीतने के लिए वायदा देते थे कि फार्म लोन दे रहे हैं हम, प्लीज वोट दे दो। जनता भी भरोसा रख करके वोट दिलाए, मगर मध्य प्रदेश में उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं हुआ। फार्मर्स आज तक मांग रहे हैं लोन वेवर, क्यों नहीं हुआ? हमें वोट मांगा, वोट ले लिया, सरकार बनाने के बहाना किया, मगर सत्ता भी उनके हाथ में नहीं है। मगर फार्म लोन का गुमराह करके किसानों का बैकस्टैप करके चले गए कांग्रेस। राजस्थान में आज भी कंप्लेंट्स है, फार्म लोन नहीं हो रहे। मेरा एक्सपेक्टेशन था सर, फार्म लोन में नहीं हुआ, जहां भी छत्तीसगढ़ में भी कर्जा माफी नहीं हुआ। सर, मेरा एक्सपेक्टेशन यही था, जब वरिष्ठ नेता उठ करके भाषण देने से पहले फाउंडेशन ले कर रहे थे, कम से कम ये मानेंगे कि कर्जा माफी क्यों नहीं हुआ, उसको बयान देंगे। नहीं दिया। सर, तीसरा, 10 में से तीसरा, मैंने सोचा वो खड़े होकर के फाउंडेशन बजट के भाषण देने से पहले ले कर रहा है, उस समय कम से कम ये बात बोलेंगे कि मैंने आदेश दे दिया पंजाब सीएम को, वो जो काला कानून है जिसके द्वारा किसान जेल में जाने वाले का प्रोविजन है, उसमें 5 लाख का फाइन का प्रोविजन है, प्रावधान है उसमें, वो दोनों को हटाने के लिए मैंने हमारा चीफ मिनिस्टर पंजाब का उनको आदेश दे करके आया हूं। ये बात पार्लियामेंट में खुलासा करेंगे, ये मैंने सोचा, मैंने एक्सपेक्टेशन रखा, मगर ना, वो भी नहीं हुआ। मगर आरोप इस तीनों कानून के ऊपर। ये तीसरी बात, 4th पार्ट सर, राहुल गांधी जी उस दिन जब बात कर रहे थे बजट में नहीं, फार्म लॉस के ऊपर, फाउंडेशन है, ठीक है, सुनते हैं, उस समय मैंने ये भी एक्सपेक्ट किया वो कम से कम ये बात बोलेंगे कि किसान को बहुत ही दुख है, दर्द है, वो पराली के विषय में उनको बहुत ही दुख हो रही है, उसके वजह से उनको कुछ राहत दिलाएंगे कांग्रेस के सरकार के द्वारा पंजाब में, जिससे पराली वो अभी का प्रॉब्लम नहीं रहेगा, उनको राहत दिलाएंगे, ये घोषणा करेंगे। ये भी मैंने एक्सपेक्ट किया, नहीं, वो भी नहीं हुआ सर। 5वीं, मैंने सोचा नहीं, बजट के ऊपर चर्चा नहीं, फार्म लॉस के ऊपर मैंने ये एक्सपेक्ट किया कि हमारे 3 जो कानून है उसमें से कम एक खंड निकाल करके, एक क्रॉस निकाल करके वो बोलेंगे, देखो इस क्रॉस के वजह से किसान को नुकसान होने वाले हैं, इसीलिए हम समर्थन नहीं करेंगे। इधर वोटिंग में भाग लिया, समर्थन दिया, फिर भी अभी मन बदल दिया, और इस क्रॉस के वजह से ऐसे करके इन 3 कानून से कम एक पॉइंट दिखाएंगे कि दिस इज अगेंस्ट द फार्मर। मैंने सोचा, मैं एक्सपेक्ट किया वो कम से कम वो बात बोलेंगे फाउंडेशन ले करने के समय, नहीं, वो भी नहीं हुआ। सब 5th पॉइंट हो गया। 6th पॉइंट में आ रही हूं, मैंने ये भी एक्सपेक्ट किया कि राष्ट्रपति भाषण के समय माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का जवाब था, उसमें उन्होंने बहुत सारे छोटा किसान के ऊपर बात बोली, मगर फाउंडेशन लेते रहा, फाउंडेशन ले करते रहा, भरे नहीं और वापस चले भी गए बिना चर्चा बजट के ऊपर। सर, 9th पॉइंट, ये मेरा प्रश्न है, एक्सपेक्टेशन था मगर अभी प्रश्न है, वो क्यों, why does he choose to insult constitutional authorities? Why does he choose to insult constitutional authorities? क्योंकि उस दिन इधर सम्मान्य स्पीकर साहब को इंसल्ट हुआ, उनके बड़प्पन है, उन्होंने जस्ट आप लोग ने मुझे चुनकर इधर बिठाया, इसलिए प्लीज हाउस शुड गो एज पर द रूल्स ऑफ दिस हाउस, ऐसे करके बात छोड़ दिया। मगर इधर इंसल्ट, इससे पहले डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह का इंसल्ट वो कानून के ऊपर, उससे पहले डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह विदेश में जब प्रधानमंत्री के नाते गए थे, उस समय उनके द्वारा पास किया गया ऑर्डिनेंस को फाड़ करके फेंका कूड़े में। व्हाई डज ही चूज टू इंसल्ट? एंड राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण के बाद चर्चा जो हाउस में होता है, वो खत्म होने के बाद भी उसी विषय के ऊपर चर्चा करना और उसी विषय को कुछ बहाने बात बोलते रहना, कंटिन्यूअसली इंसल्टिंग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली इलेक्टेड अथॉरिटीज, राष्ट्रपति हो, प्रधानमंत्री हो, सबके प्रधानमंत्री हो, आपके प्रधानमंत्री हो, कंटिन्यूअसली इंसल्टिंग। Oh yes, Speaker. Sir, last 10th point, sir. 10th point. मेरा 10th point. Sir, कंटिन्यूअसली फेक नरेटिव्स क्रिएट करते रहे। अरे रे कोविड आ गया, पूरे भारत नुकसान में चले जाएगा, अरे रे इतने सारे लोग मर जाएंगे। मेरे पास पूरे कोटेशन है, समय समय पर जो हमारे वरिष्ठ नेता बोलते रहे, मेरे पास पूरे कोटेशन से, मैं आपके समय इसमें बिताना नहीं चाहती हूँ। आई डोंट वांट टू स्पेंड द हाउसेस टाइम ऑन द कोटेशन, बट द सारांश is this: I will constantly say things which will demean India, which will show India in a poor light, and constantly that will be my rebel-like look to insult India, build fake narratives. Nothing will go well for India, यही कहते रहे और हमारे खिलाफ बहुत सारे जो kind of mischiefs, I'm using a lighter word, करने वाले देश के साथ पार्टी की ओर से, सरकार MOU नहीं, सरकार MOU नहीं, पार्टी टू पार्टी MOU करके, जब देश का कुछ बॉर्डर में क्राइसिस होता है तब हमसे ना बात करते हुए, सरकार से, हम छोड़ो, सरकार से ना बात करते हुए उनके दूतावास से बात करके क्या हो रही है बॉर्डर में करने वाले और कभी भी भारत देश का भरोसा ना करते हुए बाकी सबको भरोसा करने वाले और ज्वाइनिंग द ब्रेकिंग इंडिया फ्रिंज ग्रुप, एक वरिष्ठ पार्टी के नेता एक फ्रिंज ग्रुप के साथ ही बार बार पॉलिटिक्स करना और भयंकर अब्यूज, टोटल अनएक्सेप्टेबल टर्मिनोलॉजी फॉर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली इलेक्टेड हेड्स उपयोग करते रहना और सुप्रीम कोर्ट के द्वारा कटाक्ष होने के बाद अपोलोजाइज करना, मगर दोबारा वही साइकिल में अब्यूज करो, अपोलोजाइज करो, यही रास्ते पे चलना, डिस्ट्रक्टिव पॉलिसीज करना। I'm very scared to think probably he is becoming the doomsday man for India. और हमारे दुख की बात यही है कि ऑपोजिशन जो पार्लियामेंट में स्ट्रांगली पोजीशन लेकर के सरकार को कटघरे में रख के प्रश्न पूछने का रोल करने वाले ऑपोजिशन आज डूम्सडे मैन के नेतृत्व में और डूम्सडे मैन जो रिपीटेडली अब्यूज करता है और देखो, और सर मैं ये बात भी बोल रही हूं उस दिन, नो यू कांट हैव दिस, सुनने को तैयार नहीं है, अभी जैसे हो रही है, कभी भी डिस्टर्ब करो, चिल्लाते रहो या तो वॉकआउट करो, वही हुआ बजट डिबेट में। इसीलिए दो टेंडेंसीज कांग्रेस पार्टी का हमने पहचानना चाहिए और इससे ये स्पष्ट होता है उनका बिलीफ इन डेमोक्रेटिक इलेक्टेड पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम इज कंप्लीटली खत्म। धन्यवाद।